Good evening and a very warm welcome. You're watching Primetime News on TV1. I'm Cinii Columbo. Here's a look at tonight's top stories. Final decision on plantation workers' wages expected on Monday. President warns of consequences of breaching IMF agreement.
ආපහු පොලිමේ ඉන්නේ. ඉතින් අපේ තීරණය තියෙන්නේ අපි මේ වැඩසටහන ඉදිරියට ගෙනියනවද නැද්ද කියන එක මේ ඡන්දේ.
Sajid Premadasa chairs Samagi Wihidum Balagani rally in Hambantota. National People's Power to unveil election manifesto on the 26th of August.
අපේ ප්‍රතිපත්තිවල නැති අපි කියන්නේ නැති ඒගොල්ලොම හදාගත්තු කතා කියාගෙන යන්න පටන් අරගෙන තියෙනවා. අපි මේ ඔක්කොටම හොඳම උත්තරේ අපේ මැතිවරණ ප්‍රකාශනය මේ මාසේ 26 වෙනිදා අපි එළි දක්වන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා.
Former local government heads support President Ranil Wickremesinghe in presidential race. Sri Lanka Mahajana Party and Wijeya Soisa back president.
අත උස්සලා කියන්න රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මහත්තයාට වැඩ කරන්න ඕනයි. යකෝ අම්මට සිරි මු මටත් හොරෙන් වැඩේ දීලානේ.
Namal meets Sumandiran for talks.
Sri Lanka, Sri Lanka, Sri Lanka decides.
Sri Lanka decides.
On to your top story this evening now. President Ranil Wickremesinghe announced that the Wage Board will convene next Monday to finalize the decision on the proposed 1,700 rupees salary increase for plantation workers.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe participated in a meeting with plantation workers, trade unions and youth leaders in Kandy today. Minister Jeevan Thondaman, former Minister of Labour Manushina Nakkara and other officials attended the meeting.
කම්කරු කොමසාරිස් ජෙනරාල්වරයාගේ බලය ප්‍රකාරව ඒ තීන්දුව අරගෙන ගැසට් කරලා විරෝධතා සඳහා දින 15ක් දින 14ක්.
Based on the authority granted by the Commissioner General of Labour, we made the decision and issued a Gazette notification allowing a 14-day period for objections and confirming the amount. We announced in Kottagala that workers would receive a 1,700 rupee wage increase. This decision was made by our ministry, not by the President. The President visited Kottagala on the 1st of May and instructed me to make the announcement. Subsequently, the estate companies challenged this in court. Following the injunction, we opted for an alternative approach. Both parties had to retract the Gazette notification and withdraw the case. The case is now resolved, so we will reconvene on Monday. I would like to emphasize that we have confirmed the basic salary of 1,350 rupees as an allowance based on our earlier proposal to the Wage Board. We have prepared all necessary arrangements.
සූදානම් කරලා තියෙනවා. දිගම්බරන් වතුකම්කරුවන් නියෝජනය කරන නායකයෙක් විදියට හිටියට මේ 1700 වැඩි කර.
Despite representing plantation workers, Digambaram has not requested me to increase the wage at any instance. There was concern that Thundaman might gain strength if workers received their wages, leading to delays. The estate companies were encouraged to pursue legal action. That's not it. Radhakrishnan and other groups behaved similarly.
Krishnan ඔය කණ්ඩායම් සියලු දෙනා ඒ විදියට තමයි වැඩ කටයුතු කළේ කියන එක මම මේ වෙලාවේ මතක් කරනවා.
මේ අවුරුදු දෙක තුන තුලදී වතුකරේ ජනතාව විශාල දුකක් වින්දා. රටේ ජනතාව විශාල දුකක් වින්දා. අනික් කණ්ඩායමට පඩි වැඩි.
Over the past 2 years, both plantation workers and the nation have endured significant hardships. We have yet to resolve this issue fully. 7 companies have already agreed to implement the new wage. I have inherited this responsibility, and once the Wage Board reaches a decision on Monday, I will be prepared to introduce and enforce the necessary regulations. This issue cannot be resolved through mere discussions. I have made 7 attempts to address this matter, and I am confident that others will agree as well. If I am to uphold the Wage Board, I will ensure its implementation in accordance with the law. When the law is enacted, I hope both Minister Thundaman and MP Digambaram will support it.
The President also spoke about his economic plans.
මම ගිහින් IMF සංවිධානය එක්ක සාකච්ඡා කළා. ඒ වගේම මම ගිහින් අපිට ණය
I engaged in discussions with the IMF and with the countries that have provided us debt. An agreement was reached after several discussions and amendments. We now have until 2042 to start repaying, with only interest payments due in the interim. This extension provides us with the opportunity to manage our debt more effectively. If we fail to adhere to this agreement or attempt to amend it, we risk losing the agreement and reverting to previous conditions. Without funds or foreign exchange, we cannot make progress. We have approached the IMF 17 times and violated conditions each time. This time, I was advised that passing the relevant laws is also necessary. I have enacted 3 laws already. If we breach this agreement, we will face delays and additional complications. Our future actions will be determined by whether we continue with this program based on the upcoming election.
මත කරලා තියෙනවා ඒ නිසා. ඉතින් මොකද්ද වෙන්නේ මේක කැඩුවොත්? ඒකයි මම අහන්නේ. ආපහු පොලිමේ ඉන්නේ. ඉතින් අපේ තීරණය තියෙන්නේ අපි මේ වැඩසටහන ඉදිරියට ගෙනියනවද නැද්ද කියන එක මේ ඡන්දේ.
Leader of the opposition Sajid Pradas said that individualism should be replaced by a policy-driven approach. He expressed these views while addressing a Samagi Vihidum Balawege rally in Hambantota.
The public rally was organised under the leadership of Sajid Pradas, leader of the Mahajana Balawege and the opposition. A group of politicians, parliamentarians and representatives from the Mahajana Balawege attended the rally.
මෙම අවස්ථාවට සමගි ජන සන්ධානය නියෝජනය කරන දේශපාලනඥයින් පාර්ලිමේන්තු මන්ත්‍රීවරු ඇතුළු පිරිසක් එක්ව සිටියා.
Youth of this nation are waiting for change. The biggest obstacle to achieving that change is outdated political culture. The youth are calling for a genuine transformation of the system. It is one where social and economic injustices are rampant. The majority are paying the price to secure the rights of a minority. The country's economy was devastated not by the youth or the people, but by a governing body that exploited the nation for its own interests. We must move away from individualism and adopt a policy-driven approach. Regardless of opinions, Hambantota now has international ports and airports, an international stadium and a convention center. There are allegations that these were established based on flawed data. What should we do? We must move beyond petty politics. These international assets have faced criticism as burdens to the nation, but it is easy to criticize and difficult to turn perceived burdens into assets. I promise you that I will transform these assets into revenue-generating resources. We have already made the necessary plans and will take responsibility for securing international funding and developing these assets.
අපි විවිධ ජාත්‍යන්තර ආයෝජන ජාත්‍යන්තර ප්‍රාග්ධනය ගෙන ඇවිල්ලා මේ සුදුවලි කියන ව්‍යාපෘති සාර්ථක ව්‍යාපෘති බවට පත් කරන්නට ඒ වගකීම මමත් මගේ කණ්ඩායමත් බාර ගන්නවයි කියන එක මම මේ අවස්ථාවේ ප්‍රකාශ කරනවා.
National People's Power leader Anura Kumara Disanayake said that the party's election manifesto will be unveiled on the 26th of August. He made this announcement during a public rally in Ambilipitia.
The National People's Power rally in Ambilipitia was held under the theme Punurudayata Ratama Ekata Malimave Jana, loosely translated to a united country for a renaissance.
එනබෙන ජනාධිපතිවරණයේදී නියත ජයග්‍රහණයෙන් මේ රටේ ජනාධිපති බවට පරිවර්තනය වන පත්වෙන අපේ ආදරණීය නායකයා වේදිකාවට සම්ප්‍රාප්ත වන අවස්ථාව අපේ ආදරණීය නායකයා අවුරුදු 76ක් තිස්සේ.
For 76 years, this country has not been governed with the people as a priority. It has not been for the betterment of the people, and the issues of the people have not been addressed. September 21st is the day that we will change that. To achieve such a transformation, we need leadership. We need a leader who can unite the people of this nation and understand the heartbeat of this country. I believe there is no doubt that Anura Kumara Disanayake possesses those qualities.
අනුර සහෝදරයා තුල අන්න ඒ නායකත්ව ගතිගුණ තියෙනවා කියලා.
ආරම්භයේදී ජාතික ජන බලවේගයට එරෙහිව දේශපාලන මතය බවට පත් වෙලා තිබ්බේ දිනන්න බෑ.
Back then the political opinion about the NPP was that they couldn't win, but now we are satisfied with one thing. They previously said we couldn't win, but now they are discussing scenarios that may arise if we win. On the 22nd of September, they will have to acknowledge that we did win. Now they are spreading false information about our policies. In response, we hope to unveil our election manifesto on the 26th of August. Our main challenge is to eradicate poverty. These rulers have never eradicated poverty. Why is that? It is because they need poverty to win elections. We are a country that has fallen behind in servicing its debts, and now we have to dance to the tunes of other countries. These are the consequences of economic bankruptcy. The NPP government has already made plans to free this country from poverty and develop it into a prosperous nation. Will the people who failed to achieve this over the past 76 years suddenly succeed now? Mahinda Rajapaksa was elected to parliament in 1970. It has been 54 years. Vietnam, South Korea and China have all surpassed us. There is no point in focusing on old regimes. Ranil Wickremesinghe was elected to parliament in 1977. It has been 47 years. What happened to the people? Their condition has continued to deteriorate.
The Polonnaruwa District Council of the People's Struggle Movement was held today.
The Polonnaruwa District Council was led by presidential candidate of the People's Struggle Movement, Nuwan Bopage.
The president said that 3 women supported him in his journey: Nirmala Sitharaman, Kristalina Georgieva and Samantha Power. He claims that these 3 women from the IMF and World Bank helped him on this path. But let's reflect on who truly contributed to rebuilding the economy. During the COVID-19 pandemic and the subsequent economic downturn, women played a crucial role in revitalizing the economy. For instance, while the IMF provided $1 billion annually, women in the Middle East, despite facing numerous struggles, contributed an additional $6 billion to our economy. Ranil Wickremesinghe seems to have forgotten these contributions. But the People's Struggle Movement acknowledges the bravery of women like Rizana, who sacrificed their lives, and the suffering of people throughout the country. This is where the dividing line lies. Women in the apparel industry have contributed $4 billion to the country's economy, yet Ranil Wickremesinghe seems to overlook their contributions. Neither Sitharaman nor Samantha Power built this economy. It was the working women who did. The People's Struggle Movement represents these women. A woman named Priyangani, who died in Kandy due to a gas explosion, symbolizes those who have sacrificed their lives due to the harmful economic system and policy decisions of Ranil Wickremesinghe. No other organization has truly given freedom to the general public. They have only served Ranil's class and creditors. We have established a strong movement to challenge Wickremesinghe and the opposition.
The turning point.
Meanwhile, the former local government heads have assured their commitment to ensuring President Ranil Wickremesinghe's victory in the upcoming presidential election. During a special meeting of the former local government heads forum, President Ranil Wickremesinghe pledged to secure the political future of former provincial council and local government representatives who are rallying behind him in the upcoming presidential election. The former local government heads expressed their appreciation for the president's economic recovery initiatives and assured their commitment to ensuring his victory in the upcoming election. During the event, they also presented a document containing their proposals to the president. Meanwhile, parliamentarian Mahinda Aluthgamage announced that the Sri Lanka Podujana Perumuna group supporting President Ranil Wickremesinghe would establish a new political party by next week, with arrangements already in progress. Prasanna Ranatunga, Manusha Nayakkara, Lohan Ratwatte, Anuradha Jayaratna and Janaka Vakkumbara were also in attendance.
The turning point.
Former Minister Wijeya Soysa has announced his support for President Ranil Wickremesinghe in the upcoming presidential election. Former Minister Soysa announced his decision during an event in Bibile.
Ranil Wickremesinghe is the only leader capable of navigating these complex challenges we face. While there are no tasks beyond our collective ability, if you were to compare the intellectual capacity of our team without that of Ranil, from my experience, Ranil's intellect would far outweigh ours. If anyone is willing to work for Ranil Wickremesinghe, please raise your hand. If anyone is opposed and prefers Sajit, please raise your hand.
ඒකට විරුද්ධය කවුරු සජිත්ට දෙන්න ඕන අයට උස්සන්න බලන්න. හත්ති ලව්වේ 1යි 2යි. හරි. කමන්නේ මචං. උඹලත් හැරියල්ලා. මචං. උඹලා දෙන්නත් හැරියල්ලා මචං. කමන්නේ. හරි මගේ මාත් එක්ක ෂේප් නේ. හරි. ජය වේවා.
The turning point.
The Sri Lanka Mahajana Party has pledged its support for President Ranil Wickremesinghe in the upcoming presidential election. Leader of the Sri Lanka Mahajana Party, Asanka Nawaratne, announced the party's Politburo decision during a media briefing today.
There were initial proposals within the party to nominate a candidate from the Sri Lanka Mahajana Party. However, after further discussions, this idea was ultimately rejected. We have decided to support one of the major candidates already in the race. We believe that an election is not necessary at the moment. However, we must proceed with the election process as required by law. President Ranil Wickremesinghe should continue in this role for some time. We have put aside our personal perspectives and party policies. We are not suggesting that Ranil Wickremesinghe is the sole path forward for Sri Lanka, but we consider him the most viable option at this time.
මැෂින් එකෙන් ගලව ගන්නත් එක් මේ ඉන්න වෛද්‍යවරයා මත ඒ ලෙඩා පවතින්න ඕන කියන ස්ථාවරයේ තමයි ඉන්නේ.
The Sri Lanka Mahajana Party was founded in 1984 under the leadership of Wijeya Kumaratunga. In the previous presidential election, the Sri Lanka Mahajana Party extended its support to Gotabaya Rajapaksa.
The turning point.
Tamil National Alliance MP M.S. Sumandiran met with Namal Rajapaksa, the presidential candidate of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna. They met at M.S. Sumandiran's residence in Colombo. Sagar Karyawasan, the General Secretary of the SLPP, also attended the meeting. The discussion focused on Sri Lanka's current state of affairs and political situation. M.S. Sumandiran told Newsfirst that Namal Rajapaksa expressed his intention to engage in further discussions with the Tamil National Alliance.
The turning point.
The Mahajana Balawega has decided to appoint former Member of Parliament for the Galle District Bandulalal Bandaregoda to the position previously held by Manushanana Akkara following the court's ruling. However, a decision has yet to be made regarding the appointment of a replacement for Harin Fernando, who was elected to Parliament from the national list.
Harin Fernando came into Parliament from the national list. So we need to appoint someone to fill that vacant position. We have not yet discussed this internally. Various names are circulating on social media, but no official discussions have taken place within the party. Typically, the national list is finalized after an election, and once a nominee is selected, it is no longer used. The party has the authority to appoint anyone, either from the existing list or from outside it. This is according to our regulations.
මං දන්නේ හැටියට නම් 3-4ක් යෝජනා වෙලා තිබෙනවා. ඔව් හිරුණාකාගේ නම කියවෙනවා. ඉතින් ඒක සාමාන්‍ය දෙයක් නේ.
The turning point.
A United National Party meeting was held today in Kurunegala under the chairmanship of party deputy leader Akila Viraj Karyawasam. The event was attended by a group of former provincial councils and local government representatives of the United National Party.
We have decided to move forward as a unified team, regardless of party affiliations. Today we formed this group to ensure Ranil Wickremesinghe's victory and his appointment as president. Many MPs from the SLPP, SLFP and other parties have joined us. We are confident that this campaign will be successful and people know who to vote for. We are preparing all necessary arrangements and all the leaders in the Kurunegala district are supporting us.
රටේ ජනතාව සමග ඉන්න නායකයෝ ටික ඔක්කොම අපි එක්ක ඉන්නවා. අපි අද මේක ඇත්තටම සියලු පක්ෂවල එකමුතුවක් හැටියට තමයි අපි මේ
This represents unity among all parties. We aim to strengthen our network of electorates, divisions and organizations through this effort. Kurunegala is a district where the SLPP has won in the past. With the support of all the leaders, we are confident that Ranil Wickremesinghe will become president again. We discussed this matter today.
නැවත ජයග්‍රහණය ලබා දෙන්න අපිට පුළුවන් වෙයි කියලා අපිට ලොකු විශ්වාසයක් තියෙනවා. ඒ සාකච්ඡාව තමයි අපි කෙරුවේ.
The power of the people.
Leader of the National Union of Workers, Palani Thigambaram, raised concerns over the failure to implement the promised wage increase for plantation workers. Now he expressed these views at an event in Hatton.
When the president visited Kottagala, he along with other leaders assured us of a 1,700 rupee salary increase with great confidence. We were delighted and our workers were also optimistic. However, after several months, the company representatives are now claiming they will not honor this commitment. This situation puts our votes at risk. They are now shifting responsibility onto me. I was the one who urged the company to take legal action. These deceptive actions are unacceptable. We want to make it clear that our people will not be misled again. We demand that the promises made be fulfilled.
Paddy harvesting of the Yalla season has begun in many parts of the island. However, farmers say that a proper price is yet to be quoted for their harvest.
Farmers say that although the price of rice is increased in the market, the price quoted for their paddy remains unchanged. This is how the farmers of the Galnav area of the Anuradhapura district harvested their crops. Although the cost of production is high, according to the farmers, they get between 100 rupees and 115 rupees per kilogram.
අන්තිමේදී කපලා හිටන් තුට්ටු දෙකට වීටික දෙනවා. මෝල් කාර්යය දිනු වෙනවා. රජේ නැහැ කිසිම උනන්දුවක් රජේ මේ ගැන. රජේ උනන්දු වෙනවා නම් අපිට සාහිත්‍ය මෙලක් දෙනවා නම් එහෙනම් වීටික තියාගෙන දෙන්න පුළුවන් රජේ. මේ ඉන්න ලොකු ව්‍යාපාරිකයෝ තමයි ඔක්කොම කරන්නේ.
Crops are being harvested in the farms in Rajala in Kantale. The lack of a fixed price for crops is a challenge faced by the farmers in Kantale.
අපේ වී ගොවියාගේ වී මිල අඩු වුණාට වෙළඳ පොලේ තියෙන සහල් මිලේ කිසිම සතේකවත් අඩුවක් වෙලා නැහැ. ඒකට අපිට හිතනවා මේ අපෙන් අරන් ගියේ වී වලින්ද මේ හාල් නිෂ්පාදනය කරන්න කියලා.
The farmers are asking the authorities to set up a system that is not limited to words and will give them a fair price for paddy.
Now, Cinii Columbo is taking a 300-kilometer trek along the Pico Trail to raise awareness about diabetes. In a move to raise awareness about diabetes, Cinii Columbo has embarked on a challenging 300-kilometer walk along the Pico Trail. Statistics followed by Cinii Columbo show that 1 out of 3 Sri Lankans are pre-diabetic, while 1 out of 4 Sri Lankans are diabetic. Partnering with Pasavia, the Limb Salvage and Innovations Alliance of the University of Colombo, this initiative aims to shed light on the growing concern of diabetes in the country.
Steps Against Diabetes is basically an initiative that 3 friends had in order to raise awareness but also funds to fight diabetes, and specifically diabetic foot care. And we've had a lot of people help us put this entire process together. It's our 19th day, and we are lucky to be joined by the Pasavia team behind me. So we're very excited that they've made the trip all the way to join us today.
We started walking and we realized how useful, how important it is to have healthy feet. I hope what comes out of this, the proceeds will stand in a good way for us to help the less fortunate diabetics in our society.
Donations from this endeavour will be channeled directly to Pasavia, bolstering their vital work in providing care and support for those affected by diabetes. The journey commenced on the 22nd of July and is set to conclude on the 15th of August. The Indonesian Festival was held in Colombo this evening. Now, this annual festival, now in its 3rd year, aimed to celebrate Indonesian culture while supporting charitable causes through its proceeds.
You might have heard this sound, or you might have not heard this sound. In Indonesia, this sound is called as the gamelan sounds. So today we are here in Colombo to celebrate the world of Indonesian culture.
The Embassy of Indonesia and the Sri Lanka-Indonesia Friendship Association hosted the Indonesian Festival at the embassy's premises today. The bazaar was officially opened by Ambassador of Indonesia to Sri Lanka and the Maldives, Dewi Gustina Tobing. festival also saw attendance from several foreign ambassadors based in Sri Lanka. A key feature of the festival was the Indonesian Pavilion, which showcased the batik industry. An Indonesian team demonstrated batik manufacture techniques. The pavilion also displayed Indonesian music instruments, products and tourism information. The gala cultural show featured traditional dances, songs and music from both Sri Lanka and Indonesia.
Indonesian Festival Angklung Orchestra. 2, 1, fire. Okay, very good. Okay. Louder.
Charting the course of your success in a disruptive world. Global transformation thought leader Karen Leong on the 13th of August at the Oak Room Cinnamon Grand, 6 p.m. onwards. Contact 077 466 4931. Today marks the 50th day of the third phase of the LOLC Divi Savya program, which is dedicated to enhancing the educational support for Sri Lanka's future generation.
As part of this initiative, exercise books and essential school supplies for the entire year are being distributed free of charge to students at government schools with fewer than 150 children. The focus of today's distribution is on schools in the Balangod Education Zone of the Ratnapura district and the Ambalapiti Education Zone of the Hambantara district. This morning, educational supplies were delivered to Kotakethana Vidyalaya, Wijeya Primary Vidyalaya, Vavevatta Vidyalaya in the Hambantara district and the Cecilton Tamil Vidyalaya, Hituwala Dharmasena Vidyalaya, Maddagama Siripiyaratana Vidyalaya in Ratnapura district. Additionally, books and supplies were also distributed at the Balangod Zonal Education Office.
Now, a harrowing plane crash has claimed the lives of all 61 people on board a Bopas airline flight that plummeted to the ground near Sao Paulo.
Cuidado, explodir, meu, cuidado!
Bopas Airlines said the twin-engine turboprop was flying from Cascavel in the southern state of Paraná to Guarulhos Airport in Sao Paulo City when it came down in the town of Vinhedo. According to the airline company, there were 57 passengers and 4 crew members on board. According to the authorities, there were no survivors. Airline officials said that all the passengers had Brazilian documents, though it is not yet clear if any had dual citizenship. Flight tracking data shows that the ATR 72500 plummeted 17,000 feet in just 1 minute, and the reason for this remains unknown.
Caralho, rapaziada, o avião caindo, que porra é essa, viado? Caralho!
Social media videos of the crash showed the plane spiraling out of the sky before hitting the ground as people in the neighborhood shouted in fear. Another video showed the wreckage of the plane in flames on the ground. Now shifting your attention to a development of fellow South Asian nation Bangladesh, the Chief Justice of Bangladesh's top court has said he agreed in principle to resign after an ultimatum from the protesters days after Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina fled to neighbouring India.
Ubaidul Hassan, who was appointed to helm the Supreme Court last year and is seen as a loyalist to Sheikh Hasina, was told to step down by protesters who gathered outside the court in the capital, Dhaka. A formal letter confirming Hassan's decision to step down was expected after consultations with President Muhammad Shahabuddin. According to reports, the students believe the Supreme Court to be highly politicized and want the other 7 members also to resign. Cabinet ministers left blindsided by her sudden fall have gone to ground, while several top appointees have been forced out of office, including the National Police Chief and Central Bank Governor. Yesterday, the bank's governor, Abdur Rauf Talukdar, resigned from the post, citing personal reasons. Meanwhile, a Bangladeshi student leader who played a key role in overthrowing Sheikh Hasina and is now part of the country's caretaker government, said that she will face trial for the killings during her term, including those from recent protests. Sheikh Hasina fled the country on Monday following weeks of deadly protests that began as demonstrations by students against government job quotas, but surged into a movement demanding her resignation. Hasina's son Sajib Wazir Joy has said that she will return to Bangladesh from India, where she is sheltering once elections are announced in her home country, which the main opposition has demanded should be held in 3 months. He also told foreign media that Sheikh Hasina has not resigned as Prime Minister before fleeing this week to India as anti-government protesters marched on her official residence. He said though the president had dissolved Parliament after consulting with military chiefs and opposition politicians, the formation of a caretaker government without the Prime Minister actually formally resigning can be challenged in court. Wazir also said Hasina's Awami League party should contest the next election, which he said must be held within 3 months.
Recent discussions have once again turned to the topic of crossovers among people's representatives. We'll leave you tonight with views from the political arena today. Take care. Have a good night.
Before the ballot.
Today, Ranil Wickremesinghe has stepped up to take responsibility and govern the country. Sajith Premadasa is finding it difficult to accept this fact. As a result, political conspiracies are being plotted to remove people, diminish their power and strip them of their responsibilities. When the nation was in crisis, both Harin and Manusha advised Sajith to take on the responsibility, but he did not. We attract foreign investments to this nation thanks to people like Harin and Manusha. What they did was pursue their personal agendas, not act in good conscience for the betterment of the country. This occurred because they missed the opportunity to form a coalition government. When a party is broken, trust is lost. Once trust is lost, the SJB will never support Ranil Wickremesinghe. What they could have done was decline all positions and portfolios and step down after voicing their dissent. That would have been principled politics. They could have expressed their disagreement with the SJB's decision and left. The answer is not to join another party and accept ministerial portfolios. They could have vacated their parliamentary seats, especially since Harin Fernando was appointed from the national list. The person who suffered the most due to party changes was Ranil Wickremesinghe when his MPs switched parties. The Supreme Court issued a verdict concerning the transactions involving Ranil, who protected Manusha and Harin. The corruption in the ministries held by these 2 ministers was significant. We would like to reiterate that the Samagi Anti-Corruption Wijeya will remain vigilant regarding these matters. We will soon take all necessary legal actions in this regard.
Samagi Dushan Virodhi Wijeya නිරන්තර අවධානයෙන් ඉන්නවා. අනිද්දා සිට අපි මේවට අවශ්‍ය නීතිමය පියවර ගන්නවා.
Before the ballot.